Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. This is another episode of our bi-weekly SIG CLI meetings. It's September 11th, 2019. My name is Matya and I'll be your host today. We have quite a few announcements today and a little bit shorter agenda overall. So the important announcement is that we got accepted for the 90-minute session during KubeCon North America happening in San Diego in mid-November. And we are hoping to address during the session every possible topic, issue, or question, concern that people that will show up during the session will have. Basically, we are hoping that we'll try to answer everything as much as we can. And that includes myself, Sean, and Phil. So I invite all of you already for that particular session. I'm hoping that it will be a very valuable lessons for both us and all of you. Okay, got that one. Not sure if I can do anything about the mic, but I'll try to keep it closer to my mouth, probably. Another announcement is that kubectl Kubernetes 1.16 release candidate 1 is out as of yesterday. And at the same time, master is open for development of 1.17. I think that the next meeting in 2 weeks, we will devote to 1.17 planning. And so if you have any proposals, items that you want to have done, sorry, in 1.17 release frame, please make sure to add them. Most probably the agenda will be the best place, and show up during the meeting next week, and we will discuss the major themes for 1.17. This one is coming from Sean, but basically kubectl convert was deprecated in 1.13, which basically means in 1.17 we will drop the support of kubectl convert. Drop support means that kubectl convert will be a plugin and it won't be a part of kubectl anymore. So that's an important step that will happen in 1.17. Sean, are there any other announcements you wanted to add? I think these are the most important ones.
No, that was, now that 1.17 is open, we can remove kubectl convert and create a plugin from it.
Yeah, and that's an important step because that was one of the blockers for the staging. The remaining parts are auth and printers related.
Yeah, and the printers related, we just I could do that in a stand-up.
Perfect.
Later.
Yeah, and we will also go a little bit deeper on the topic during probably the next week, the meeting in 2 weeks for planning, so that people that are interested in helping out maybe with the kubectl independence can also find a piece for them to work on. Quick update from the test grid. I was looking at the testing grid for the past 2 weeks. It was mostly stable. We had some glitches after the PR for kubectl logs merged. The reason for that is some of the tests and the previous releases relied on the kubectl log command, which was deprecated even before kubectl went to version 1.0. So that was just a small problem. Another one was that there were some glitches in the forward or attach commands failing 2 days ago due to some problems with GCP. But everything is currently stable, so there should not be any problems. Also, we've added Kubernetes SIG CLI mailing list to test infra, so that whenever there's a failure with regards to our tests, we will get an email notification to our mailing list. But I don't expect these to be a high volume emails. I think these are the main topics. Now, I would like to move to the main topic section, and the only one that we currently have is a feature request for supporting home.q config.d directory. I was looking for that PR author, Dave Kerr, present with us. I don't see him on the list. Is the person that added the topic to the agenda present on the call to speak up about this?
Yeah, I put it on the list the previous meeting or before the previous meeting, just to, and I asked the author to come and discuss it. Yeah, we haven't seen him for the last couple meetings. I think it would be okay to strike this.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions or any context or background on this particular issue that they want to share? Okay, I think it's strikeable.
Okay. If the author shows up, I'm completely fine to bringing topic into the agenda. I'll strike it afterwards. Okay, so are there any other topics that people want to bring up? Okay, so a reminder that in 2 weeks we will be doing planning. I'll probably send an additional reminder to the SIG CLI mailing list so that people are aware. I know that the SIG usability has some topics. I spoke with Valerie over Twitter some time ago. I would like to sync with the SIG usability. They have some feedback that I would like to gather and start addressing some of the things during the 1.17 release timeframe. Okay, so let's move on to stand-ups. Crew, the floor is yours.
So yeah, we are planning to release Crew 0.3.0 very soon. So we were a bit held back by a migration to GitHub releases after the current release pipeline broke when the repo was migrated to Kubernetes 6. That is now working. Maybe one question to you: do you have any infrastructure for tracking downloads from GitHub releases? So I do know that there's a total download count that you can get from GitHub, but there's no history for the number of downloads. So if anybody knows a tool which can do that, that would be great.
I have no knowledge, but I think it will be worth reaching out to either SIG testing, or not sure if we have some infrastructure related folks that might provide you with some knowledge. Or talking with Nikita. I think Nikita might have pointers to the appropriate peoples.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's all from our side.
Okay, cool, thanks. Koi is next.
Hey, y'all. So mostly I wanted to, I know this is a little more than a stand-up, but I just wanted to get a rough feeling for a thought experiment that we can get into more detail on the next call. It occurred to me shortly after the last call that we could think about writing a little bit of a Go shim for CUI to act as a kind of cask equivalent. So in the homebrew world, you have brew cask, and cask is kind of the proxy for macOS applications, bring them into the homebrew world. It occurs to me that CUI could serve an analogous role for crew, that I could say crew cask with a K, just for the sake of argument, install Tecton, for example, and we then subsequently, when you say kubectl Tecton view my pipeline, you would get a window popping up showing you a visualization of your Tecton pipeline. But as far as sort of consumption is concerned, it all happens mediated by the crew install experience. And under the covers, the cask, a little shim, will be the proxy for downloading the CUI componentry and dealing with all those bits. But as far as users concerned, it's just a Tecton view, Tecton plugin to crew. Is that kind of architecture, does that sound reasonable, something worth exploring, or is there anybody on the call that can nip that in the bud as a bad idea?
So is the idea to have CUI as a UI for crew, basically, where you can select plugins to install via crew then? Let all the heavy lifting be done by crew? And
yeah, so it wasn't a matter of having a UI for installing plugins. You would still do that from the CLI. Just like when in Homebrew, I can say brew cask install Emacs. And when that happens, the result is that I get an macOS application for Emacs. So I would like to be able to say, for example, as a user, crew cask, or even just crew install Tecton, or crew cask install Tecton. But what the challenge is that every UI extension to kubectl has some shared componentry. All the Electron, for example, bits needed to pop up that window, those are common to every visual extension to kubectl. And so when I say install Tecton, I just want to have the core components, the Electron bits, and the Tecton plugin. And when I install the kubectl extensions, and when I install the Kiala extensions, and so on, as a user, I want to be able to pick and choose the visual extensions to the kubectl world that I want, without having to worry about thinking about whether I'm downloading a double-clickable application or anything like that. So that's the basic proposal. It's essentially a cask equivalent for the crew world.
So I'm not very familiar with cask, but would it in a way be that you install a plugin with a visual UI via crew, which is then used through CUI? Is that?
Essentially, yeah, I can scope out it on the next call, the proposal. But that's essentially the idea that crew right now, just like with Homebrew on its own, it's great about installing ASCII, terminal-oriented applications. But to be able to have a portal into a platform-native visual world, that's the kind of thing that cask offers to Brew, and CUI could offer the analog for crew. That's the basic proposal. So
maybe the right direction to go with this is, so if this is just a set of special plugins which will have a UI component which will be used through CUI, then I think it would make sense to wait for multiple indices in crew and create a special CUI index where all the UI plugins can be hosted. Would that make sense?
That would definitely help. There's another part to it, which is that if every plugin has its own, like I said, let's say I have a Tecton plugin and a Kiala plugin, just for the sake of argument. I think what I'd like to avoid is having a full 200 megabyte Chromium instance for every plugin. And so the cask would, the CUI as cask metaphor would give us that proxy to be able to have a single Electron instance on my laptop for all the plugins. And that when I install a plugin, I'm just getting the extra bits needed to manifest that plugin. So that's the architectural advantage of having a cask-like middleman.
Yeah, but that would imply that we had to have a different architecture than what currently Crew does. Crew currently does not handle dependencies at all, if I remember correctly. It only downloads the binaries that are pointed in the meta file in the index, and that's it. So in your particular use case, where you want to have a shared dependency on a particular version of Electron, because I would assume that different plugins might have different dependency levels.
Possibly, yeah. That's, yeah. There's definitely some issues. This is the kind of stuff that I'd love to talk through. Is it worth sort of fleshing this out a little bit and having a longer discussion on the next call?
I don't see any problem. Yeah, that's definitely something that's worth exploring. I'm not sure if next call will be a good one, since, like I mentioned before, the next call will be devoted to 117 planning. And I think we can pretty easily fill in the entire 1 hour that we have, slightly less.
Makes sense.
With the 117, but the next one after that one, that will be a perfect fit.
Great.
Cool.
Thanks.
And if you have anything, so if you have the proposal already written up somewhere, then just take Ahmed and me in the loop. That would be great.
Okay. Is your contact info somewhere?
Cornelius,
don't share with me.
Cornelius is one of the owners of the crew. So if you go to crew,
I can look it up then.
You'll find crew. You'll find Cornelius and Ahmed over there.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so the last piece. Oh no, there's customize. Jingfeng, I've seen your name on the list.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Cool. So we plan to deprecate 2 patches field in customization.yaml file. So the reason for that is in our last release, we added the extended patch, which can support both strategic merge patch and JSON patch. So the type of the patch is detected automatically by customize based on the content. So user don't need to specify whether it's a strategic merge patch or a JSON patch. And the extended patch can also be applied to multiple objects based on the selector that's specified. So this new feature or this extended patch can cover the functionality that are provided by current 2 fields like patches strategic merge and patches JSON 6902. So those are not good names. So we are thinking about to deprecate those 2 fields. Since now, if we don't deprecate them, we have 3 fields can handle the patches, and one of them can cover the functionality of the other 2. So to support the previous, like the current user with those fields, we are adding a fix command, and we have a customized fix command, and we are adding some changes in that command to convert the current field, those 2 fields, to the new extended patch field. So user just need to call customize fix, and then it will be converted to the new format. They don't need to worry about that. And that is one thing. Besides that, currently we are writing some documentations for different things. One is about writing the document for inline patch. The other is about writing, Jeff is writing some documents for how to use the generator and transformers, and how to use generator and the built-in generator and transformer, and customize them according to your own needs. Yeah, that's pretty much of it.
Okay, thanks a lot. And now lastly, there's no lastly yet. kubectl independence. Well, I think both of the other ones are related to that one. Sean?
Yeah, so just a quick update. I think as I mentioned before, there's three of the commands that are keeping us from having all of the code moved into staging. About 95% of it is moved into staging now. Now that it's 117, we can remove one of those commands, which is kubectl convert. So the only remaining commands that are keeping us that have dependencies on Kubernetes core, keeping us from moving everything into staging, is kubectl get and kubectl auth reconcile. And so the kubectl get, we are actually very close to. I've been refactoring printing tests in order to be able to pull part of the printing into our CLI runtime. And once that happens, I think we're 1 to 2 PRs away from having that removed. And then finally, the auth reconcile dependency, the dependency on the RBAC. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure where that stands. Jordan Liggett had mentioned a couple of times of a path that he was imagining. Once the previous two are completed, then I could move on to managing that and to talking with Jordan about how that final dependency is going to be removed. That's it.
Okay. I have one question with regards to convert. I remember at some point in time, when we initially deprecated convert, we thought about the idea that currently, if a user tries to invoke the convert command, we will inform them that there is no such command anymore, and that if they are interested in, they need to install a plugin.
That sounds like a great idea. Yeah, we haven't done any PRs with that removal, but that sounds like an excellent idea to include some informative information instead of just a simple deprecation message. You know, if it had a link to, say, for instance, where the plugin was, for example. And now that we have Crew to manage plugins, that's going to be much easier to generate that URL.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm not sure how much tension will be around us entirely removing the convert command.
I'm sure there's. Yeah, sorry.
I think at least for one release, we can put this kind of information that it was deprecated, it is removed, it lives in a separate place. If you're still interested in it, this is how you get it. And starting from 118, we will just say nothing. And I think that kind of a path towards is a reasonable for users. Also, we should probably send an email to Kubernetes devs about us removing the command and how to get a replacement.
Yeah, I'll definitely work with you and others once we actually do this convert removal. I'm sure that there's going to be some heartache and pushback. But we followed the rules and we have to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It is in a good cause. It just smoothing out with this kind of warning helper type of thing. It will address those that might have issues with those. But like you said, we did follow the process, so we are clear on this path. Okay, are there any question, topics, concerns that people want to bring up to the call? If not, I think I can give you away about half an hour. Okay, hearing none, thank you very much. See you in 2 weeks. I'll send an email about planning in 2 weeks. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye.